If you were to look back in the deep history of geological Bitcoin time, really the early guys were the techos, the guys that mined it. And then, we had the Silk Road and so forth. We had the libertarians. The very early smart money, I think, came in 2016, 17 when it started. Bitcoin articles popped up around the Winklevoss ETF in 2017, and saw a lot of that kind of cohort come in. And then we had the derivatives come in with the BitMEX invention of the perpetual swap. And by, I'd say, 2019, 2020, we had the infrastructure here for institutionals. And we're really deep into this, where we've got family offices, we've got large hedge funds, mutual funds, now sovereign wealth sort of coming in, like El Salvador's the first sovereign nation to accumulate. It's a lot different, and the instruments are different now. We've got not only the perps, but we've got very well developed options and futures markets. Well, options aren't quite as liquid, but they're coming. And then you've got the ETF that backs onto the CME, like a regulated US exchange. So a lot of institutions worldwide deploying through like futures instruments because it's fully regulated and it's very easy for them. So I think that's the whole thing's changed, right? And how that demand and supply filters through to the underlying asset is through a different chain. Anyone who's been in the market since 2018 has noticed that the price shape has changed, and the moves are very sharp, and they're liquidation events. And that's a signature of futures being dominant. And so it's a very different kind of environment now, and it's much more complex. Yeah, I think a part of the, what you might call excitement is the majority of the volume is unregulated. And so there's all sorts of fun trader tactics to shove the price around, which, they're kind of outlawed in regulated exchanges. We see in Bitcoin a lot is some of the large players and, putting up buy walls, sell walls, and kind of shepherding the price around, which is a lot harder to do in a regulated environment. It is particularly volatile because large whales are out there to take you out. They're looking at where retail's positioned, and they're going, well, they're vulnerable, let's take them out. That's the game that's creating this volatility. And on the other side of that, you've got this crazy amount of inefficiency that's built up as the price wicks thousands of dollars over a minute. And that opens a lot of spreads that can be closed by arbitrage plays. And so you can get this other side where traditional people don't, some institutions don't want to be exposed to Bitcoin, but they see the kind of yields that they can get by running arb across the inefficiencies. Now we got people who are not even interested in Bitcoin coming in because they just want to pick up the money. They can get 20, 40, 60, 100% plus annualized yield on the US dollars, which kind of shits all over anything you can get in the traditional world. Bringing more players in, they generally have to hold the underlying in a lot of the strategies they're doing. So it's bringing money into the system. The volatility is almost a honeypot to bring in traditional money who's not even interested in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we do 100x from now, it's $5 million per coin. 100x isn't that exciting to a VC. They're interested in 1,000x. They're over 8 years, 5 to 8 years, they want 1,000x. And so why not back something that's nascent, take higher risk, and get that kind of return? People who bought, I don't know was Solana bought it. Solana's seed round was 20 cents and it went to 250. Yeah.
I just talked to Kyle Samani yesterday about that. And I think they had 3 rounds. He said, as he recalled it, 4 cents, 5 cents, and 20 cents was the last round. And they led all of them. So
now that's the stuff, you can see why that kind of institutional money is coming in. And I mean, that translates to a lot of development, experiments of DeFi layer 1 protocols. And, I'm all for that, actually.
Agreed.
I'm I like the innovation that's happening. In the Bitcoin ecosystem, we dislike this kind of stuff because we're so viewed as anything that's not Bitcoin.
Do you still think that the bull run is largely intact?
Yeah, I think it's structurally still intact. But, December was, I'm told it was going to be soft from the institutional money. They want to cash out and book their profits. And a lot of the guys that want to redeploy. I'm hearing that that's kind of a January story. So, and also we've got the tax sell-off regime right now. So these sort of news and narrative fundamentally weak for December. But, if we're looking over the next 6 months, structurally, it's pretty strong. And, what gives me confidence about that is that there's really a lot of coins that have been moved to long-term holders who have held their coins for 5 months or more. And so they're at maximum accumulation. They're slowly divesting as they do, as the price runs up and they take some profits. But predominantly the coins are with the long-term holders. Bear markets don't usually start until the long-term holders are divested in the short-term holder sort of category, where those weak hands are much more prone to dumping or selling out. And the last sort of crash we had from the low 60s to eventually the 29,000 was when with like those long-term holders had completely exhausted. We're currently pretty charged up with those guys holding onto their coins. So depending on how quickly they divest, I think we've got anything from 3 to 6 months of a run, maybe longer, just have to see. We're not really tracking individual participants in that kind of model. So I see it as like different waves of people coming in. They come in, they hold, they wait for the rally, they take their profit. If you go back and you look at 5 months from now, that was really in the $30,000 range after it dumped. And those guys, held up to now and they're divesting and taking their profits. And it was very similar the last sort of 5 months. So these alternating cycles where new people come in, they get the run, they sell, and then people buy into the rallies, and they experience the dump sometimes, and then it's showing. It's the guys that dumped at the 60,000 when we went down to 29 back in May. These kind of people that were accumulating, and then they completely dumped out. And now with more of the forensics metrics, the supply shocks, where we can actually see the different categories of holders, a whole lot of, strong-handed accumulators were lost. And then they sort of popped up in the speculative swing trade sort of metrics. So I think what's happened is a lot of the smart, well-backed money, whether they're hedge funds or family offices, buy the $10,000 range and into 20,000, sold at the 60, and then they reaccumulated as it was coming down from the 40s to the 30s. Seems like sophisticated swing traders now that are playing the market. So it's looking quite different from what we saw in 2017 and the cycles before. It's quite interesting, this whole cycle. Never seen anything like this before.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.